Daniel, emergency nighttime podcast. This had to happen. Had to do it. Earlier today, a friend sent me a new website called SaveSnapNow.com. This is an amazing presentation put together by Irenic Capital. I'd never heard of this firm before, but the site leads with Snap back to reality. Snap has the potential to be a great company and a double AI winner for meaningful improved operating efficiency and monetization. This is a 6-step plan to 7x Snap's share price to $26 a share. And given how much we talk about Snap and what garbage this stock is, we thought we had to cover this. And because we have a lot of friends that listen who are former Snap. This is not financial advice. In no way do we take, I could not have less faith in Snapchat at this point. So this is all you got to take with a grain of salt. But the presentation was too good not to talk about.
I think we got to go through their 6-point plan. We got to talk about it. Some of it we've talked about on this podcast. It's sad that it's come to this. I mean, we love this company. We spent a lot of years there. The brand is iconic. The product's awesome. The people there are great. And it is an $8 billion stock as of tonight. And so, yeah, let's get into what they're talking about.
Let's see what happens.
What we agree and disagree with here.
Is this going to be the beginning of you being a financial analyst? This could be it.
Me and Claude.
I don't know.
We're going to do it.
Okay. All right.
Where
we should actually put this in a Claude. All right. We are going to start with that Snap is a good product. So Snap is a special asset that can be a great company, it says. Number one, good product. One of only 4 scaled U.S. social networks, 1 billion MAU, $6 billion in revenue, which is pretty insane considering when we were there, it was basically nothing. And we ran the first ads and all these ads are almost now through the stuff that we built. So I'm proud of us there. And they can capture a bunch of attention, kind of all the obvious stuff. And then it goes into great potential and a horrible cost structure. So I think, that part we know about, but like, Daniel, let's go into the details. Tell me what you're thinking. You want to take the first one, which is spin and shut down Specs?
Yeah. I mean, this one is no surprise to anyone, right? That Specs has been a cost center for this company for a decade, right? And it's a great, it was a very cool product, cool idea. Was very on brand early to capture images and to capture real life and fit into that whole camera narrative, but it doesn't generate revenue. I think they put the number that they've poured in over $3.5 billion into Specs with no return. Like that cannot be the case for a company that's burning capital elsewhere. It makes more sense if you're Meta or Google and you have a cash flowing machine and you want to take some big bets. A company that is burning cash in its core business should not be taking big bets and burning that kind of capital. And so this one, I think they got to spin it out. Like spin it out. I think it's a great idea, great product, but it needs to be treated separately and viewed separately from the core business.
I agree. I kind of do want Evan to be right about this. It's such a great FU to just like ride this thing down and then have this be great. But I think, I don't even think also the glasses are going to be the form factor. Like you see all this stuff now. I think it's probably going to be audio. It's probably like this thing. And anyway, probably not even in your glasses. So but that's like a separate story. The other thing I don't really get, it's like you see like what Apple did. Like Apple basically is like stayed out of AI. They have focused on the fact they have distribution, and now they're going to monetize AI really well with like new Siri. Like they were really they were smart about how they use their CapEx, and like they waited it out to see where it unfolds. Yeah. It's just like these wearables. Like my assumption is, as these AI models get better, considering that Snap doesn't have a foundation AI model, aren't they just going to be renting someone's core value anyway on this thing? So yeah, spin it. Done. Yes. Check.
Done.
Cool.
All right.
We just saved
capital. Agree. So let's move.
What does that say? That gets us. What is it saying? It gets us $2.
$2 added to the stock. I mean, you're talking
$2 added to the stock. All right, it's up to $6. Yeah. All right, fun. This is a great pod. You have to be such a jaded Snap former employee to actually sit through this. But let's keep going.
All right.
This one's tough, but it's obvious. Rationalize costs. Put everyone. They have the brilliant designers. That place is so made for like the AI pod structure that everyone else is starting to adopt right now. They have like amazing, probably like the best designers, like maybe like in the world, and they could build amazing stuff now. And I think Evan's alluded to it. They're gonna do this. They're gonna fire like 2,000 people. That's just like gonna happen. And I wish, it's almost wish he would kind of like be nice if he did it. I think if you're there, you kind of feel like you're kind of like you're kind of constantly at risk, and also just like you don't want to do it as a result of this stupid, this document. So like just do it because it's like what you have to do for your business and move on.
Yeah, and I think right now, I mean, it's not a nice thing, but there are big tech companies doing layoffs and talked about it under the guise of AI, under the guise of post COVID kind of bloat. And I think from an outsider perspective, I think a lot of people will look at it and then kind of gloss over it as like, yeah, another tech layoff. Now, obviously, 1,000 people, I mean, that's 1,000 lives dramatically impacted, but at an $8 billion stock that is on its way right now just to becoming a penny stock, like as shareholders, like that is the right decision. As all of those people are shareholders, like this, you can't operate.
I'm not sure if they're gonna agree with that, but I do. Yeah, this one's obvious. They gotta be it's not, that place needs to be the most efficient revenue per employee, and the most in front of AI, given it has such huge AI structural advantages. That one's just going to happen.
And I mean, as a $6 billion company, like remove the bloat and move faster, right? Like when we were there, the best asset we had was we could move faster, and Meta would rip off formats because they weren't moving as fast as us. And I don't know when the last time Meta ripped off a format from Snap has been. Like,
yeah, it's actually funny. Yes, I agree. Yes. So next one. This one's like a little bit easier said than done, but improved monetization. This is basically how do you increase the average revenue per daily active user ceiling. Subscriptions, I think that's great. Yeah. User flow, what they're really alluding to there is you're opening up to the camera. And so therefore, I don't think you can mess with that. I think that's like a little naive. Mm-hmm. I think they're putting a ton of ads in chat. Yeah. And I think the better targeting attribution measurement thing to me is like a little bit of like, what did you use like a Yogi Berra line a couple weeks ago on the show? But yeah, it's like, all right, cool. Like the core issue with Snap from this perspective is that you can only extract as much revenue as like the GDP of your community. And like this is inherently kind of just a less wealthy, younger demographic just by nature of them being younger. And so it's harder to extract more. That being said, they could definitely do more. But I think this focus on the revenue story is actually very impressive. It's just when compared to the cost side of it is where I think they lose a lot of credibility. So the subscription thing is interesting. Like I think that I didn't think that would work as well as it has, and it definitely has worked well.
Yeah, so, and I think they were really early in that and proved that it was a viable model. I think there was a lot of skepticism, myself included, on like, people are really going to pay a subscription on an ad-supported platform like Snap, like Meta, like Twitter, and they were really early there, and they've proven the answer is yes, like a resounding yes. I agree. This one, much easier said than done. Like, sure, like you would get AI, go optimize your costs and performance. Like, yes to all of that. But it's not just snap your fingers. But I do think the potential. Well, maybe snap. It's snap your. There we go. Yeah, I wish I was clever enough. But I do think the potential story that they're telling in this deck is true, right? Even if you can't dramatically increase monetization or dramatically increase subscription rates, you can start to tell a better growth story. They haven't been able to tell a true growth story in a few years now. And Irenic makes the case that they're trading at a 1.2 revenue multiple and a 6.8 EBITDA multiple, which is far below peers in the public markets. And I think a lot of that is that they don't have the same growth story as those other companies. And so even if you can eke out a little bit of incremental improvement and incremental performance, you can start to reap the benefits in the public markets of better multiples. And that increases shareholder value, stock value, opens up the door to go do more of the bets that Evan wants to do. And monetization is everything here. So
I think on chat, like put it into an auction. Like even right now they have that daily ad. Just like go and just kind of make the chat feed into a feed and make money off it.
And honestly, go rip off Instagram's formats, right? Like Instagram's doing a new format every day, it feels like. I don't know, go rip off some formats and try them, right? Like this is now not the time to innovate on advertising. Like go use what works.
Now AI, the next one, deploy AI properly. This is we've talked about this before, but monetize Snap's proprietary visual data sets. So they have an unbelievable amount of data there. They also have some of the best use cases of Gen AI in lenses. I mean, they were ahead of everyone when it comes to that.
Yeah.
I don't think they've, it's almost like the work around the specs has they'd always talk about how Snap is a camera, opens the camera, but didn't continue to make these amazing camera experiences native to the camera that everyone else has, which is on your phone.
Yeah.
And then obviously the AI partnership stuff, they could be doing so much that they're not doing. They absolutely could be paid for search. They absolutely could be paid. Even they partner with Perplexity, which I respect Perplexity a lot, but why aren't you going deeper with Grok? Mm-hmm. There's so much cool stuff you could be doing, especially with capital rich versus, somewhat capital constrained partners.
Yeah. This one is weird that they haven't done more here. I mean, we talked about the Pokemon Go example a few weeks ago where they've got this gigantic image database. And we talked about, Snap probably has triple the amount of images around the world as Pokemon Go, and put out a press release, show the world this asset that you own, and you probably increase, the multiple and the excitement about the product overnight. And then go use it and go use that as leverage to work with Google or Grok or Anthropic or OpenAI, whoever it is, the foundational models, and go do some really interesting stuff around this. I mean, Reddit's monetizing their data in really basic use cases, but material revenue. Snap isn't. This seems like a no-brainer to go monetize, to go develop the partnerships, use your asset, and then strengthen the core product using those partnerships. This one, I don't understand how it's come to where we are today.
Yeah. I think they just got to do it. I mean, it's so funny. It's just they got to do it and try. And maybe it's just it's just the focus of them deciding and telling the street that this is actually an AI platform. Because it is every picture that is sent and every video is sent is almost by nature augmented by AI. Mm-hmm. What generates more net new AI photos and videos in the world than this thing at this point? So yes, I agree there. The last one I think is easier said than done, given that he would have to cede a lot of control. But I do agree a hard push into privacy, safety, and parental controls I think is important. They've done a good job on that, actually. We know people who worked on those products and they took it super seriously. So I think maybe that's a little bit more education, publicly. Yeah. And then obviously the share buyback program of $5.8 billion, if you were to be at a place where you had cash, then I think that would be good. But tell us a little bit about this unlock the multiple re-rating through changing the governance. That one seems like a tougher one.
This one also seems very self-serving, right? In Irenic, they say this is where you're going to get the majority of the value, right? This is where you're going to get basically 50% of the share price value that they're proposing of a 7x increase in value. And of course, they want improved governance. They want voting shares. They want kind of better governance from a shareholder point of view. They want a bigger voice. I mean, that is their duty, right, of Irenic Capital. But I do think, bringing in kind of more of those votes. I thought it was interesting. They weren't actually trying to get like shareholder. They weren't trying to get 51% ownership. They were making the case that give shareholders a larger vote, but still retain founder-led control, which I thought was a really interesting perspective. That it's like Evan has very clearly stated in market he wants to retain control, and I think he's proven from a product-minded standpoint that that's a good decision, right? People are making the case that he's like a Steve Jobs, but I do think getting more involvement from shareholders is probably important, especially as you think about like how can they go to debt markets, how can they better position for equity raises, how can they spin this out for specs, like just like startups and our startup stories, like investors have incredible value if utilized properly, and this is part of that. Like you've got a lot of intelligent people betting on you, and you're just kind of a down and out stock right now. And like people want to see this be a winner.
Yeah. It's crazy. So since there's a great slide in this, which is cumulative revenue growth since 2016, $31 billion. Right. So like,
yeah,
I mean, you look at 2016. It's just so funny. We were obviously there before that, but it's crazy. It's just grown an unbelievable amount, and then it's increased the DAOs by 474 million.
Yeah.
So in terms of revenue and user growth, now it may have grown in some ways. I think probably they brought revenue up. They pulled revenue up a little artificially too quickly, you could argue. But so they basically just like massively increased DAO. They've shown at least some semblance of competency to generate revenue. And they randomly spun up $1 billion ARR business in the subscription business.
Yeah.
Like how this thing is such a loser right now in the public markets is crazy. I mean, it's down 77% from the IPO.
Yeah.
And it was up.
It's so sad.
Yeah. Yes. So, and it's never been profitable since the IPO.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really, this deck is interesting. So I guess we had to talk about it. We had to do it. I don't know if anyone cares, but we just had I think hopefully someone we know at Snap will share this around, and then people will look at this deck more, and maybe they do some of these things. I did see Snap employees on LinkedIn posting about it, which was kind of shocking. I was like, you're going to get.
I was going to say, if you're an employee, like, how do you not pay attention to this? Like,
yeah.
This isn't like a short seller putting out like a nasty report about your business. This is like a company saying like, here's how you make this work, right? Like this is somebody on your side. Obviously they're very self-serving, so it's not like altruistic, but they're proposing solutions, not just ripping you down.
Yep. Well, we did it. First emergency pod of ADSN.
Yeah.
It's like I'm excited to get back to our AI doomer ones. But anything else before we end tonight's emergency pod?
No, I mean, one shout out to our friend Kent Moy, who last week, I think pre-Arenic Capital presentation, put out a really good take on, Snapchat as a highway, and makes a really good analogy as to how Snapchat, Reddit, Pinterest, Meta all operate differently on the ad side. And so I think he was right about some of that, now looking at this deck. And I think that's also something Snap needs to look at, of like, they can't play the same ads game as everyone else. There's some things that they can do, some things that they're unique at that they need to embrace. And so shout out Kent Moy for a very great analogy post.
Another great Kent Moy. We'll link to it. All right. Time for kids' bedtime.
Yeah, let's go to sleep. All right.